Well, just on some of those claims that are being made against Kevin Rudd, not only that he was a dysfunctional leader, but that he's undermined Julia Gillard's since. One of the MPs who's been making these accusations is the convener of the Victorian Right faction, Michael Danby, who joins us now from our Melbourne studio. Michael Danby, thank you for joining us this morning. What evidence is there that Kevin Rudd undermined or was seeking the leadership back?
Well, you know, far from being the Joan of Arc character that he's made himself out at these two press conferences, I heard a couple of weeks ago on TV that he was speaking to a number of journalists directly. And normally I would have thought Kevin was too subtle to do that kind of thing himself, but I established via my own sources that he'd spoken directly to four journalists at three separate meetings in Canberra about a two-stage program to undermine the Prime Minister and to seize back the leadership. I mean, David, this is beyond the pale. No government can go on if things like this are happening. And, we all know Paul Keating. This is the strategy that he's trying to replicate. And to paraphrase that great US Senator Lloyd Benson about Dan Quayle, he's no Paul Keating.
Well, firstly, on the allegation that he did brief four journalists, that this was going to be a two-stage attempt to take back the leadership. Journalists are obviously bound to protect their sources here, but are you able to say who you think these journalists were?
Well, look, I'm told by the people that I've spoken to in Canberra, and I'm satisfied that this happened, that Luke Simpkins and Philip Hudson were two of them. The third one slipped my mind at the moment, but there were at least two meetings with people in recent weeks with the Foreign Minister. What
is so bad about doing this? You're saying that it's treachery, essentially, but couldn't the same be said that some people were clearly plotting to get rid of Kevin Rudd back in 2010, and some people were talking about the need to get rid of him in a leadership coup as well? This is just how it goes, isn't it? Is it really that bad?
Well, that's right. We're all mortal. These things happen. But when you stand up and say it isn't so, and that you're a higher form of life, you're more ethical than anyone else, it's just unfair. Let's all grow up and be adults. We know this has been happening. I noticed when I first put this allegation, without the names being named, that one of the supporters of Mr Rudd said, how would he know? He didn't say that it wasn't true. He said, how would he know? So, I mean, I think perhaps we should go to Bruce Hawker, whose role in all of this frankly confuses me, and ask him whether these things happened or not. What is Mr Hawker's role in this? Is he a lobbyist? Is he an independent ALP strategist? I know he hankers after the day when he had a desk in the former Prime Minister's office, but this is too much for unelected lobbyists to be telling elected members of Parliament what to do. Is his relationship with Mr Rudd commercial? Is he a commercial lobbyist for the Kevin Rudd campaign? Well, this has got, David, this has got out of control in my view.
Far be it from me to defend Bruce Hawker, but he's a well-known friend of Kevin Rudd. If he is now a campaign strategist and he believes that the party's best chance of holding on to government is with Kevin Rudd, he's quite entitled to do what he wants, isn't he?
Absolutely, if that's the case. But we don't know this. He's portrayed until recent days, and thank heavens you and the media are starting to ask some questions now about, coming under this rubric of independent ALP strategist. But in fact, he's a lobbyist for Mr Rudd. He's not an elected member of Parliament, and he's trying to tell all of the elected members of Parliament what to do. Now, I know he probably enjoyed the days when he had untramelled access to the former Prime Minister's office. He probably hankers after those days, but I don't think the rest of the Australian public should have the debate skewed over those kind of issues, because someone who's portrayed as an independent ALP strategist is actually wanting to establish the kind of access and importance that he had in the good old days.
Michael Danby, it's Kieran Gilbert here. I just want to ask you, do you have evidence, or have you spoken to colleagues that have been lobbied by Mr Hawker? Is he actually getting on the phones and calling MPs? That's what it sounds like according to what you're saying this morning.
Well, he's not calling me, that's for sure. But I understand from people in the caucus that they've been approached by him and some of the former advocates or workers of Kevin Rudd, some of the younger people who are on the TV stations dominating the news and the commentary to try and whip up a pro-Rudd atmosphere in the Australian public. People, I hope, will see through this. This is something that the members of Parliament who have an experience of the chaos that existed before versus the calm process of caucus, where people are treated with dignity and equitably. It's a different government now. We need to be able to get this behind us. I'm sure your report, Kieran, is right that there will be a strong vote for Julia Gillard, and the Australian people will see we put the cone of silence on our internals then and turn and face Tony Abbott and talk about the great issues that are of interest to Australians.
Isn't the point here, Michael Danby, that you might like to put the cone of silence on it once you've settled this on Monday, but it's going to be a bit late, isn't it? We've had such vitriol being directed at Kevin Rudd and others that this is a gift to the Liberal Party.
Look, I don't doubt that, but you have to ask where this program of undermining began. It's got to be faced, it's got to be stared down, it's got to be stopped, it's got to be resolved. And that's what's going to happen on Monday.
Michael Danby, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, David.
So, Kieran Gilbert, as we await Kevin Rudd's arrival there in Brisbane, clearly more questions being asked from the Gillard camp there about what his role was in undermining her as Prime Minister. They want the focus to be on his time as Prime Minister and the problems that were there, on what he's been doing since.